Hello everybody and welcome. Let me tell you a story. A story about the time the fearless Jebediah Kerbal finally got scared beyond belief. It all began with a seemingly normal day at the Kerbal office, until Mission Control called.
Hey Jab, we got something for you. Get to the launch pad, we have prepared a vehicle for you. It is right in front of the Kerbal complex.
Oh great, how considerate of you. I wondered what it might... Are you kidding me right now?
Oh, what?
It's a spider!
No, it's the Arachno 2000, the latest in all-terrain Kerbal transportation.
I hate spiders.
Don't be wuss, get on it.
So, not only is it a spider, I have to crawl into that end of it?
You've had to do worse, Jab.
Begrudgingly, Jeb climbed on board. Once in the cockpit, he began to move out towards the launch pad. Good thing he wasn't prone to seasickness.
Alright, I'm closing in on the launch pad. What is that vehicle?
Good you, JOL. Just get to it, we have a mission to accomplish.
It looks a bit like... Wah!
What?
It's looking at me.
Don't be stupid, Jebediah. Just board the goddamn thing.
Once again, Jeb obeyed, while the Arachno 2000 slowly crept up the crawlway towards the JOL. Two thoughts shot into his mind. This would not be a mission like any other. And who the hell had decided moving across the surface in a giant spider was a good idea? That's why wheels were invented. The entire time, Jeb felt the unforgiving gaze of the spaceship on him. Was this just his imagination, or did it really have a mind of its own?
Mission Control, I have arrived at the launch pad and will board the thing.
Walking up the ramp felt like stepping on the tongue of a hideous beast ready to get devoured by its giant gaping maw. Once he got closer, he saw the single command seat in the middle of the head of the vehicle. The controls were immediately familiar, and for the first time since this peculiar mission had begun, Jeb almost felt relief. Flying rockets was what he was supposed to do. Also, he could no longer see the eyes of the JOL. That helped too. Finally, a few moments after sunrise, familiar words came through his comlink.
JOL, you are ready for liftoff in 3, 2, 1.
With a mighty rumble, the engines ignited and catapulted the rocket off the ground. It felt weird. For so much power, the spaceship surely moved slowly. Soon the first stage got separated, the empty tanks tumbled to the ground. Still, the vehicle did not pick up a lot of speed. When the first booster separation was complete, Jeb finally realized what the problem was. The engineers had created a spaceship that basically acted as a giant air brake. No wonder this thing needed about 6,000 meters per second of delta V to even get into lower Kerbal orbit.
Curse you, Bill!
While the weird and unwieldy JOL kept rising out of the atmosphere, Jeb wondered why there was only space for a single command seat in such a huge spaceship. After all, the head of the JOL weighed easily 200 tons, and it was capable of more than 4,000 meters per second of delta V on full tanks. Or at least that's what the spec sheet glued to the small ISRU next to him claimed. Finally, orbit was achieved. Jeb was where he felt most comfortable, in space. Still, he could not shake the feeling that his spaceship was watching his every move out of those baleful, glowing eyes. Mission Control radioed again.
Jebediah Kerbal, here is your mission. We have received curious signals from Bob. Here are the coordinates. You will go there after refueling and investigate.
Understood, Mission Control. Where's my refueler?
You should see it right about now.
Mission Control, that's a bat.
It's a spaceship.
It has got wings, eyes, and fangs for crying out loud.
Don't be ridiculous, that's just a comm array.
Are you sure this thing is going to provide me with fuel and not suck it out of me?
Shut up and prepare for docking, Jeb.
Jebediah Kerbal complied. Nothing else he could do but watch as the bat-like refueler docked with his pumpkin-shaped JOL. As Mission Control promised, it delivered fuel and soon his spaceship was filled to the brim. Still, he watched with trepidation as the weirdly shaped refueling ship moved away into the nothingness of space. The computers did their calculations and soon a suitable encounter with Jool was planned. Time to go.
Mission Control, JOL heading out to Jool.
Godspeed, JOL. Don't be afraid.
Why should I be afraid?
Jeb asked, but he got no answer. The rumble of his engines was the only sound he heard. Soon he was on his way to interplanetary space, away from Kerbal, away from home, towards adventure. The journey was long and boring. After a few years, Jeb and his most peculiar spaceship finally arrived at the wonderfully green giant Jool. With the help of its moon Tylo, Jeb planned a gravity assist that put him in a more or less stable orbit. But Bob was hard to get to due to its high inclination. No matter. A few maneuvers later, Jeb was on course for the brownish moon everybody back home called the ugly little space potato. The coordinates Mission Control had assigned him were in a weird place, high up in the northern regions of Bob. With the last remaining drops of fuel, Jeb managed to set the JOL safely down close to something. Right in front of Jeb was an undefined large mass of something. He couldn't ask Mission Control. They had been silent ever since he had left Kerbal orbit. Time to investigate. Jeb used the reaction control system to move his spaceship closer, even though this from time to time looked like it was blowing its ugly nose. This was a good place as any to park, so he engaged the drills to refuel and started the refinery. If anything, Jeb wanted to get away from this dark and foreboding place as fast as possible. But alas, he had a mission to complete. He had to find out what was in front of him. Mission Control said they received curious signals from Bob. This must be the source for sure. After leaving the gaping maw of the JOL, Jeb carefully made his way around the weird thing that seemed to be biological in nature. He turned the corner and saw...
Bob, what are you doing here?
Oh, finally! I was wondering if Mission Control was going to react to my curious signals.
You are the source?
Sure, curious signals from Bob, didn't they tell you?
I thought they meant Bob the Moon.
Nah, Bob the scientist. Speaking of which, I got a whole bunch of science off of this baby Kraken. I need to get it back to Kerbal.
But...
Oh, only one seat? Too bad. Science first, Jeb. See you, sucker!
This can't be happening. Alright, time to think, Jeb. Okay, I have Bob's ship. It will provide me with shelter. And at least this monstrosity here appears to be dead.
Hello, Jebediah. Let me enter your mind.
Happy Halloween, everybody. If you liked this madness, please consider subscribing. More is on the way. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.